Every time you check your phone for a rain update, you are tapping into one of the largest data-gathering networks on the planet. The National Weather Service translates the chaotic atmosphere into a predictable data stream that underpins a vast portion of American commerce. This economic analysis shows the scale of that influence. Weather and climate-sensitive industries account for about 1/3 of the nation's GDP, roughly $3 trillion. The direct return on this investment is measurable. This report on hurricane preparedness suggests that National Weather Service forecasts result in $3 billion in savings during a typical hurricane season by enabling early property protection and evacuations. But in early 2025, this infrastructure faced three simultaneous pressures: rapid personnel downsizing by the Department of Government Efficiency, the loss of critical military satellite data, and an October government shutdown that froze agency funding. When the government defunds the agencies responsible for tracking environmental disasters, it removes the early warning systems that communities rely on to prepare for life-threatening events. Storm prediction relies on a rigid three-phase chain of events. The first link is data collection, the physical sensors that act as the system's eyes and ears. To gather this raw information, the service monitors a network of orbital satellites, ground-based radar towers, and surface stations that record temperature and wind speed around the clock. The most critical tool for vertical atmospheric readings is the radiosonde. Twice a day, at 92 sites across the country, meteorologists release these weather balloons to capture data points miles above the surface. As staffing levels dropped in early 2025, several offices lacked the personnel to maintain this schedule. Stations in Alaska, Nebraska, and New York were forced to suspend these launches, leaving significant gaps in regional atmospheric data. Removing these frontline sensors creates a compounding failure. Without local readings, the entire system loses the ability to detect the subtle changes that precede extreme weather. That raw data then moves to phase 2, processing. This is where individual readings are fed into supercomputers to generate predictive models. In 2025, budget cuts led to the elimination of several short-term models, including the North American mesoscale model. This reduced the specific computational tools available to forecasters during fast-moving storms. The system also lost its historical library. Public-facing databases, such as the record of billion-dollar weather disasters, were decommissioned and removed from the web. Losing these models and databases forces meteorologists to rely on more generalized information, reducing the precision of their emergency forecasts. The final link in the chain is human analysis. This is where meteorologists interpret digital models to issue specific, life-saving public warnings. During the October 2025 government shutdown, over 80% of the Department of Commerce workforce was furloughed. This left the Weather Service operating with only a skeleton crew of essential staff. These essential forecasters are required to monitor storms 24 hours a day, but because of the shutdown, they are legally obligated to work without receiving a paycheck. These unpaid professionals managed the peak of the hurricane season while navigating the data gaps and model closures that had been established earlier in the year. A political shutdown reduces a high-tech scientific agency to minimal staffing, leaving the remaining forecasters to manage significant data losses while tracking incoming storms. Over the course of 2025, America's weather infrastructure shifted from a global leader in research to an agency focused entirely on basic operations. The consequences of a degraded warning system are documented in the field. During the summer floods in Texas, 135 people died, while the agencies responsible for monitoring those events were struggling with understaffing and leadership gaps. To prevent this from recurring, the proposed NOAA Organic Act seeks to establish the administration as an independent agency, legally shielding its budget and scientists from political shifts. Weather forecasting acts as a layer of public infrastructure. Like roads or bridges, it requires consistent investment in physical hardware and the people trained to operate it. Reducing weather budgets produces immediate savings on paper, but those figures are often outweighed by the later destruction of property and the loss of life.